welcome back. Now this is the information part for parents about your child's first year in reception. Now normally if you had come to the new starters meeting in the hall, I would have had a big PowerPoint on the interactive whiteboard in the hall. There would have been lots of photographs to show you. I would have been talking all the way through the children's learning objectives within the early years provision, and I would have been able to talk about all of that in depth. As it is, we can't go into as much depth on the video, but what I am going to say is in September, hopefully, depending on how things move with COVID and social distancing, hopefully we will be able to have a meeting in September where I talk to you about the children's learning intentions and the children's objectives in early years and how these are developed, and I'll be able to go into a lot more depth with you. Now, I'm going to talk you through this pack. Now, you should have got a pack through the post. If you haven't got one already, you will be getting one. And I'm going to be talking to you about some of the really useful information in there. I'm going to start with this little booklet. Everything in the pack is really helpful information about the entire school, but this one is mainly about us in reception in our foundation stage. Now, your child, I've had a look at all my children, the list of children coming in September, and all of the children coming in all go to a childcare provider, whether that's a nursery or a childminder. And although I would normally be going out to the nurseries, visiting your children, talking to their practitioners and their childminders and really getting that in-depth knowledge about your child, I am not able to do that this year. But what I am doing is I am going to be on the telephone, talking to their carers and finding out a lot more information about your child and what their interests are, what their passions are, what their strengths are, and how we can build on those when they come to Old Hall. Now, as I've already said, I would normally be talking to you about the early years objectives. There are 17 areas of learning in reception, and I would normally talk you through each one with a little bit more detail. What I do want to say at this point is, all the areas you have seen in our tour around the classroom cater for those 17 areas of learning. We make sure that all of your children, no matter what skills and abilities they're coming in with, all of their areas of learning are developed within the areas of the classroom. Okay, now the 17 areas of learning, I'm just going to go through a few of them. There are 3 prime areas. Okay, that's communication and language. Communication and language is vital to any kind of social interaction throughout the world. It's all about you speaking, you listening, you understanding. And if your child can listen attentively, understand what they're hearing, and communicate with their peers and adults around, they will blossom and thoroughly develop throughout early years. If your child struggles in this area, then that is why it's vital that I have those communications with the nursery and the childminders, so that I know as soon as they start school, I can put steps in to support your child and provide for them. The second prime area is their physical development. This is broken down into their gross motor skills and their fine motor skills. Their gross motor skills is all about that charging around the playground, pushing those tyres, using bats and balls, throwing and catching things, climbing, running, jumping, all of those. Now, we do that very much through our outdoor area, but we also do 2 PE lessons a week as well, where I can really refine certain gross motor skills as well with certain children. The fine motor skills are vital to help your child's writing ability. So we start very much with the tweezers, the threading, the malleable materials where they can pull and push that Play-Doh, using elastic bands, very much those skills leading on to the more finer, refined skills of writing and developing that as the year goes on. The third area within the prime areas is the personal, social and emotional development of your child. This is all about your child making relationships. Making relationships not only with myself and Miss Cooper, but also with their friends in the classroom. Certain friendships will come from nurseries. We've got some children who are coming from nurseries together. We've got other children who are coming from settings all by themselves. Now, Natalie will talk a little bit more about this when she does her bit, but we work very, very much in that first half term about building these friendships and relationships and really working on that social interaction together. And believe me, after about 2 or 3 weeks, your child will be coming home and either talking about this friend, that friend, or the other friend, and they might actually not know names, but they'll say, well, I played with him today and I played with her today, and they'll refer to them as him and her as well until they really start learning those names, but they will settle and they will be happy. So it's all about those making relationships, that self-confidence and self-awareness, and really developing the aspect of themselves. Okay. So the personal, social and emotional area of development is also vitally important. Then there's the specific areas. We've got the reading and the writing in our literacy area. We have got within maths, the number and the shape, space and measure. And we've got understanding the world around us, which is all about people and communities. So understanding that they are part of a wider world and a community around them, and really valuing those things you do at home with your child. Understanding the world that they're living in. Do they understand about living creatures, how to care for them? Do they understand about the things they observe, the things they see? Though that's what we really develop in your child. And technology is a really, really big one as well. Our children are growing up in a technological world at the moment, and a lot of them are so much better than me. Natalie is my techie in this class, so I either turn to Natalie or the children, because they'll all be better than me by the end of early years. And the last area is our expressive arts and design area. This is where the children are really able to use their imagination and that creative flair and the development there. So those are our 17 areas of learning very, very briefly. And all of those areas of learning are really, really catered for within the classroom. And when you are able to come in and see the learning we do, I will be able to talk to you, this area is for this, because it develops that. And if you're ever unsure about anything, just come and ask us. Now, we have children starting at our school at all different levels of ability. We have some children who have medical difficulties. We have some children who have physical difficulties. We have some children who are so ready to start school. So the children are coming in with a wide range of experiences and a wide range of skill set. Now, again, I will have that dialogue with nurseries and childminders to find out what skill set your children are coming in with, and we will be ready to cater for them. We have had, over the last couple of years, children who have had hearing difficulties. So I've actually learned how to sign and do Makaton signing. We have had children who have got visual difficulties. So again, Natalie and I have been on the training to enable us to have the skills to help those children with visual difficulties. We have children with specific medical difficulties, whether this is toileting or more complex needs. It doesn't really matter what needs your children are coming in with. What matters is that we know about these difficulties so we can cater for your children. Okay. Now I'm going to hand over to Natalie, who's going to talk to you a little bit more about another aspect of early years. Okay, thank you.
Hi, so I'm going to talk to you about the positive relationships. We feel that it's really important that if you've got any concerns about your children starting school, come and talk to us. Me and Mrs. Hesketh will always listen to any concerns that you have. You know your children better than anybody else. So if you've got any concerns about your children starting school, speak to us. I know we're not in school at the moment, but if you've got any issues that you want to talk to us about, you can always email school and they will always get passed on to Mrs. Hesketh. Now, we feel it's really important that you as parents are involved in your children's learning as much as possible. So I'm going to run through some of the things that we do in class that you can do at home as well, and we'd like to get you involved as much as possible. So when your children start school, okay, we'll let your children settle in and we'll do lots and lots of short carpet times. So when your children come in and they've had a play and they've had an explore, we then sit them on the carpet, and me and Mrs. Hesketh sit on the carpet with them, and we do short carpet times, and that'll help them form some relationships with the children around the classroom, but also form relationships with us. They're coming from nurseries where they're secure, and childminders where they're secure with their aunties, and then they're coming to a new setting, and so they've got to get used to me and Mrs. Hesketh as well. So we do very, very short carpet times to make them feel safe and secure. Now, when your children settle into school, around October half term, this is when the children get excited because more fun things get sent home. So I'm going to show you a couple of things that we send home. So we have our 2 class bears, and me and Mrs. Hesketh went to build a bear to make these. So we've got Eve and we've got Dougie, and your children will take these home, okay, once a week. And we'll choose someone maybe who's been star of the day, somebody who's made the right choices, somebody who's been a good friend, and they will get to take one of these teddy bears home. And then they have a little book where you can write your adventures in, and the children love bringing them back to school and sharing with us what they have been up to. Now, we are very, very lucky because we have got a really proactive PTA. And our PTA have been really kind to us in reception because they have bought us something called boo boxes. And our boo boxes are called boxes of opportunity. Now we have 20 in total of these boo boxes. I've just picked the dinosaur ones as an example. And in these boxes you have different activities to do with your children at home. So this one is, can you read Harry and the Bucket Full of Dinosaurs? Can you then create a dinosaur? Could you write where your dinosaur lives? And the children get so excited on a Friday taking these home. Now we do split them into 2 groups. So one week one group will take them, the next week the other group, and then we'll keep it on a rotation. We've got things like making Rice Krispies, making jelly, making words, making music, and that's a parent's most favourite one, the music one. Lots of parents say that that gives them a headache, but the children really enjoy doing something with the parents at home. So there are our boo boxes. We also run, okay, after October half term, a stay and play session. That is on a Tuesday, when that door opens at 10 to 9, you can come in with your children. You can come and explore the classroom up till 9:30. Now we understand that parents have to work, okay? Both me and Mrs. Hesketh are both full-time working parents. If you've got grandparents that can come, aunts, uncles, or maybe you can come once every 4 weeks, you might think your child might get upset, but we've got so many children this year that have just gone to another parent and said, please may I come and play with you? And we've not had hardly any tears, and the children really enjoy showing you all the fun activities that we get up to around the classroom. We also have, as well as an assessment evening that we're going to have, we also have a phonics evening, so we can show you how we teach our phonics in school, but more information will be sent home about that. We also have something called Tapestry that I know Mrs. Hesketh will be going into a bit more detail with that later on. We have our website that's updated lots. Our newsletters go on there. We're very fortunate in reception that Mrs. Hesketh does a newsletter every week. So every week a newsletter will go home. It'll tell you what your children have been up to, what they're going to learn the week after. And parents have said that has been so informative. They've really enjoyed the newsletters. We've talked about the class bears, and we like to do coffee mornings as well. So as many times we can get you into school to be proactive in your children's learning, we like to do that. Now, the role of the parents. We believe, okay, that you are the most important educators in your children's learning. So what we do, we have an open door policy. In a morning, when you're dropping off, if you want to speak to either me or Mrs. Hesketh, we try and spend some time to talk to you. Same with after school. If there's something that you want to talk to us about and it's personal, we can find a space for us to do that. Also, if it's not appropriate time, me or Mrs. Hesketh would just say, would you mind giving us a telephone call at dinner time and we can talk through it? So we're always there to listen to you. We have something called a class dojo, okay? Now, if you're already a parent through the school, you'll know how useful it is. And it's a little monster that your child can get lots of positive rewards from. So it might be they've sat nicely on the carpet, they've shared a toy, and you get to see this at home. And any messages that you want to send us, you can send us through Class Dojo as well, and we will try to answer them when we have got a free moment. We have also got Tapestry again, which Mrs. Hesketh will go into more detail with. And we also do homework. But you might go, oh, homework in reception, but we make sure we do it fun and interactive. The activities that Mrs. Hesketh sets for them could be, can you go around for a walk? What numbers can you spot on cars? What numbers can you spot on houses? And the activities that she's setting at the moment for home learning, the response that we've had have said, thank you, they're so interactive, it doesn't feel they're actually sat down doing some learning. So we try and make things as fun and interactive as possible. And I'm going to pass you on to Mrs. Hesketh again.
Okay. Now, Natalie mentioned before, she kept mentioning the word Tapestry. Our Tapestry app is an online assessment tool that we have started using in early years. Especially this, we trialled it, but we've used it properly this last 12 months and it's been absolutely fantastic. And this is where that parent-school partnership comes in, and we've really used it this year with our set of parents, and it has been so successful. Now, what happens is, in September, hopefully, fingers crossed, we will be able to have a Tapestry meeting where we talk you through the assessment tool and how it is used, how we use it and how you can use it at home. But basically, it's all about setting those assessments for your child's development and showing us the next steps we need to move onto for your child and what we can provide for your child. It is a fantastic tool, and it is based on an iPad. Now, a lot of the assessment done in early years is through observation. We do a few formal little assessments with the children where we will sit with them one-to-one and do a couple of practical activities and things like that, or we may do it in small groups. The children don't know they're being assessed, but obviously Natalie and I know exactly what we're doing. The other type of assessment is where we stand back and watch your children. Now, very often people can see us in the outdoor area and they'll say, oh, can Mrs. Hesketh there just stood around doing nothing. And I am not actually just stood around doing nothing. I am watching the children, and I could be watching for communication and language. I could be watching their physical development skills. I could be watching a child who's doing some big mark making with either the paintbrushes or the chalks on the floor. And I'll be looking for specific skills. And if I see something in your child, if I see them doing something I haven't seen them done before, I will get my iPad and I will start making notes about it, and I'll take a photograph of your child doing it. It could be that they're doing a theatrical performance on the stage, or we've had one child this year who every time we put the CD on suddenly goes into this dramatic dancing and starts singing along to it. Well, that's all part of that EAD development and that being imaginative. And we've just take a video and watch it back, and then that video can be pinged straight through to that child's parents for them to see with our little notes on. And parents have found it so much of a useful tool and have said, oh, thank you so much for that observation today. It was really nice to see what she's been doing at school or what he's been doing at school. So we find the Tapestry app really invaluable, and hopefully in September I'll be able to tell you a lot more about it. Okie dokie, right, we're moving on. Okay, oh, just so you know, I have put my glasses on now because I was struggling to be able to read the small print. So this is how you will normally see me on a day-to-day basis with my glasses on. So now we're going to talk about your child being very, very unique. All the children that will be starting, all 30 of them, will come in with very, very different personalities in September, and we look forward to getting to know all those different personalities. But to help us, in your pack, there's a form that looks like this. and it says, I am unique. Now, we didn't do these last year, and we felt we were kind of missed a trick really, because there's a lot of information on here that took us a lot longer to get last year. So it's all about your child's strengths, what things they enjoy doing, who they live with and who's very special to them. And if we have that information very early on in September, it helps us spark those conversations with the children, and it also helps us put provisions into the setting for your child. So if we've got a child coming in September who's really into dinosaurs or really loves the cars or loves the dolls in the prams, then we can have those resources ready for when they start in September, and it just helps them settle that little bit more. Okay, so if you could fill that in and return it to us, either with the rest of the information in the pack or in September when your child starts, that will be perfect. Thank you very, very much. Okay, now, when we're talking about your child being very unique, because children of this age are very, very egocentric, they love nothing better than talking all about themselves. So our very first topic is called All About Me. And we spend ages with the children talking about the things they enjoy doing at home, who they live with, who's special to them, and basically using their life experiences to get that communication and language flowing. Now, the day is split up, and as the year goes on, it becomes a lot more formal, and the timetable becomes a lot more rigid. But very early on in the first term, it's quite free flow, but the children still need some structure. So we give them a timetable to follow. And this is our timetable caterpillar behind me. And we have little pictures that we put up every day, and the children get very, very used to these pictures and what they stand for. And we taught them through it very quickly. And you find a lot of children will come in first thing in the morning and have a look at the timetable and go, oh, we're doing this today, we're doing that today. Oh yeah, we've got PE today, and things like that. So they'll get very used to seeing the caterpillar timetable. Every day it changes, but the children get very used to those changes, and at least they've got some routine and structure towards their day. Okay, now I've told you we're going to be doing the All About Me topic. When we do our different focused topics, we use a lot of different materials. Now, some of these materials we already have in our shed outdoors, we've already got in our areas, and we change them and put them out. If it's things we want to make, so we make the Play-Doh fresh with the children every week, we do baking as often as we can, we make things like salt dough and things like that so the children can create things and bring them home. All of those materials cost money. And unfortunately, we don't have funds as a school to just keep shelling out that money. So we do plead to parents at this stage, if you could send us a little donation every week, if you could send 50 pence in with your child every week, that helps pay towards things like the Play-Doh, baking, when we have any picnics, we don't ask you to bring any food in, we provide all the food for the picnics. Lots of things like that, that's where those 50 pence donations go to. So if you could do that, we would be very, very appreciative. Okay. Part of that topic is getting to know all about themselves, all about the school community, but also about the wider community. And Natalie and I like to take the children outside of the school environment. So we go for little walks, we may go out of school onto the estate and over to where the fields are, where the cows and sheep are, so we can have a good look at those grazing and talk about the natural wildlife around here. We also like to go to the local park, where we do our autumn walk and look at different signs of seasons and things like that, and do a lot of PD work at the local park. And then we also like to go down to one of our local churches as well. So in September, I will be sending a letter home asking you all to have a read through it. It'll explain a lot more about these environmental walks that we go on. I'll ask you to sign it and return it to us. And that basically is you giving us permission to take your child out of school with myself and Natalie and other adults, because we have to have the correct ratio of adults to children. There'll be a full risk assessment done, but then that will give us permission to take them on any walk we want to. So these trips can be impromptu, and I'm not having to send a letter out every couple of weeks to you saying, right, this week we're doing this, please can you sign that piece of paper? Okay, so if you do this letter for me in September, that will be perfect, and it'll give us opportunity to do these like little impromptu visits here, there and everywhere. Okay, we've moved to a different part of the classroom now for a very important reason, because I want to introduce you to our traffic lights. Now, Natalie mentioned earlier about Class Dojo, and this is where your child will be given a little monster on our Class Dojo app on the big interactive whiteboard, and they can earn points for doing really positive things like tidying up, sitting down smartly on the carpet, showing good listening skills, being kind, sharing with a friend. And as we give them little dojo points, it can ping through to your phone and you know your child's got a point and you can go, oh, fabulous, I wonder what they got that point for. And you can talk about it with your child when you pick them up after school. Alongside Class Dojo, we use the traffic light system in class. Now, I know a lot of nurseries use the same system as we do. I know I've worked very closely with a couple of nurseries who have been into my classroom to see what we do and how we structure it so they can start getting the children's school ready. So all the children start off on the green circle of the traffic light. So they're all on go, they're all ready and raring to learn. Now, we have certain set promises in class, and we set these promises with your children in the first couple of weeks. And the very, very basic ones: be kind and helpful, keep your hands and feet to yourselves, use kind words, take care of property in the classroom, stay safe. So they're very basic school rules, and we call them our class promises with the children rather than rules. If we find your children are not being able to keep these promises, the first thing we do is we talk to your child. So we intervene with this behaviour and we ask them what's been happening. We explain that that's not the right kind of behaviour. We show them where the promises are in their classroom and highlight which one they're not following. So they get a little warning. If they have that behaviour again, so if that behaviour is persistent and it happens again within the same morning or within the same afternoon, we then bring them over to the traffic lights and we select their name and we move them up to the orange light. This means they're on a warning. So they've been told once about their behaviour and then they've had to be spoken to again about that same type of behaviour. So now they're on orange. When a child goes on orange, the whole class goes silent and everybody goes, oh, who's on orange? Why are they on orange? Okay. If your child then chooses to continue to show that type of behaviour, they then move from the orange circle onto the red circle. And this is when it is like a tumbleweed moment in the classroom and all the children go, oh, who's on red? Who's ended up on red? And that's when Mrs. Hesketh or Miss Cooper have to get out the Timeout Chair. Now, I am thinking of purchasing another new Timeout Chair this summer, depending on where I can go shopping this summer with social distancing. Because it used to be very, very bright and colourful and everything else, but it's had a few bottoms on it, so it's looking a little bit worn now. So it's either going to look like this or be another very brightly coloured chair in September. This is the Timeout Chair. It looks bright and colourful, but you really don't want to sit on it, because if you have to sit on this chair, it means Mrs. Hesketh and Miss Cooper are not happy with you. And you have to sit on that chair for a full 3 minutes. Now, to adults, 3 minutes isn't very long. The amount of things we can get done in 3 minutes is amazing. But to a child, 3 minutes is a lifetime. That 3 minutes takes them away from that Play-Doh table or that construction area or from playing outside in the mud kitchen where they desperately want to be. And 3 minutes to a child is so very, very long. And you can see them, and it's really quite sad, you can see them sitting on that little Timeout Chair with the head hanging low, not really wanting to be there, because when they're sat on that chair, none of the other children are allowed to speak to them and the adults don't speak to them until the 3 minutes has disappeared. Once the 3 minutes is up, Miss Cooper or I go over to the Timeout Chair and we speak to your child about their behaviour and how they've ended up on that Timeout Chair. Their name remains on red, and only when they start to show us the correct type of behaviour does it move down to orange. And if that correct type of behaviour continues, they then move back down onto green again. It is amazing how many children want to be on the green circle before we open the classroom door to go home. Okay, because if your child has been on red, or orange, we do report it to you. We explain what kind of behaviour they've demonstrated that day and how they've ended up moving up the traffic lights. Okie dokie. Usually in the autumn term, the Timeout Chair can get a little bit busy. When we start getting to spring and summer term, the Timeout Chair isn't used quite as much, but the children love it when another teacher from another class comes in and goes, Mrs. Hesketh, can I borrow your Timeout Chair, please? And my class go, oh, who's been naughty in year 1 or who's been naughty in year 2? And that's so they know there is a consequence to their actions. So that is our traffic lights and our Timeout Chair. I'm now going to hand over to Natalie, who's going to talk to you about the school day. Okie dokie.
So I'm going to talk to you about the first morning of your child starting school. The morning when us parents get all emotional inside because our child is going to school in their brand new uniform for the first day. And can I just say, I will be in the same position as all of you in September because my youngest will be starting school with her big sister. So I'm feeling nervous as well. But the first morning, Mrs. Hesketh will open the door at 10 to 9, okay? On that first morning, come in with your child. If your child is feeling a bit upset, a bit worried, a bit anxious, and we're expecting that this year, we've not been able to have all the transition that me and Mrs. Hesketh would like to have, but bring your child into school. You may get your child who comes skipping into school. Those children that have got older siblings in school that have been used to coming to our stay and play sessions with their parents before, they might run into school. But if your child is a bit anxious, a bit worried, please come into class with them. Don't feel that you have to leave them at the classroom door. When you come into class, I'll be in the classroom and I'll be situated near the big table. And on the big table, we will have this year we've had stars, we've had caterpillars, we've had butterflies, and on these is your child's name. We want to see if your child can find their own name and then pop their little lollipop stick in some sand that we have there, okay? Once they've done that, we then see if they can go and find their own peg. Now the pegs, I've got different pictures on with their name on, okay? And we showed you the cloakrooms before. Your children will each have their own peg, okay? I'll be there to help you, so there's no need to worry about where your peg might be, okay? Now, we do say, once your child is in school on that first day, and then they start to go and play, and they start to still seem a bit upset, me or Mrs. Hesketh might come over and just take your child's hand and just take them away. And if you can give them a quick cuddle, okay, and then leave, and I know sometimes your heart's breaking when you have to walk out of that door and your child's crying, but I promise you, after a few minutes, your child will be settled, they'll be happily playing. And me and Mrs. Hesketh will come and ring you and say, look, they're playing now in this area, they're doing this, they're playing with their friends, they've got smiles on their face. Please be reassured that they do settle really, really quick. Okay? Now, you might, on that first day, your child might come out of school and you might say, what have you done today? And they go, nothing. Done nothing. I've learnt nothing. But can we just say, they are learning all the time through play. They don't actually know that they're learning. Okay? We might be sat at the big table doing a jigsaw. They might be learning to share with their friends. We might be sat at the table drawing a picture. They're learning how to hold their pencil correctly. So even if they do come out of school and say they've learned nothing, please be reassured that they have. And that's the good thing about our stay and play sessions. When they do start in October, you'll be able to see all the fun and exciting things that we plan for your children to do. So I'm now going to talk to you a bit about the school day. So like I said before, the school door opens at 10 to 9. If by 9 o'clock you haven't arrived with your child and you test the door handle and the blinds down, that means that we've locked the door and we can't open it then, okay? So what you need to do is take your child round to the main office where Mrs. Brennan or Mrs. Scarth will be, and then they will bring your child down to the classroom, okay? We have our school day, and then our school day ends at 3:30. Now, in the first few weeks, please can you bear with us? It might take us a bit longer to get your children out. We might not be out dead on 3:30. Trying to get 30 children used to a new routine, it's going to take a bit of time. Now, one thing we really stress that's important, if your child is being picked up by anybody different than yourselves, please could you let me or Tracy know, or ring the school office. We have had it before where people have come to pick up other children, and unfortunately we've not been able to let them go until we've had permission off parents. So that's one really important thing that we stress. If anybody else is picking your child up, please inform us. I'm now going to pass on to Tracy, and she's going to tell you the last bit about our booklet.
Okay, we're right near the end now, so please don't give up on us, okay, because this bit is all about the really useful information for you. I'm not going to read every single section to you because you can read that for yourself, but I am going to go through some parts. Now, we've already had some inquiries about the school uniform. Can I stress at this point, it is best to go cheap and cheerful. Please do not go out and start buying the polo shirts with the school logo on, because I will tell you now, after a day in year R, you will need to wash that uniform. I've had it with both of my children. Miss Cooper's had it with both of her children. When they've been in reception for a full day, they've done painting, they've done gluing, they've done cutting and sticking, they've been in the mud kitchen. Your child has had a whale of a time, but they're dirty and their uniform will need washing. So please go to your local supermarkets and buy your packs of 3-4 polo shirts for a couple of pounds. Buy your cheap trousers and your cheap skirts, which actually really wash very well from your supermarkets. That's where I've bought my children's uniform in the past when they were in reception, because they will get dirty. Some parents still want them to have the school jumpers with the logo on. Yes, that's fine if you still want to purchase those from the uniform shop, but I am going to kind of tell you now, they will get them dirty. We do encourage them to use aprons, and it's part of their school routine that we get them into very quickly about putting on their aprons, but they will still get the sleeves wet or muddy and things like that. So please be very much aware of this. Okay, so cheap and cheerful is the way I would definitely go with it. It gives you on this useful information sheet what the school uniform is, so that's there for you to read. If your child does have an accident through the day. Now, this could be a toileting accident, or they could have just got that involved in the water tray. We've had it this year where one child slipped into the water tray. We're not quite sure how. Luckily, there is a member of staff at all times around these areas, and they do get absolutely wet through or full of mud. We do get them changed. So we're asking parents to provide the child with just a little drawstring bag like this. Does not have to be one with the school logo on, just an everyday drawstring bag. And inside, put a spare change of uniform, please. So your polo shirt and your jumper. Now, this parent decided that they wanted to send us with some little jogging pants as well, just the school colours, but it was easier than using a pair of school trousers. That is fine. If your child's had an accident, that is perfectly okay. Also, inside this drawstring bag, we ask parents to provide, missed the underwear, don't forget to put the underwear in, and socks, a spare change of socks. Especially little boys, when they have a wee, everything seems to go down into the shoes. Okay. Little boys and little girls seem to just wee downwards and everything goes all over the feet. So, and it always seems to be socks we run short of. So all of those need to go in their drawstring bag. And if we use any, we send the change of clothes home in their school bag, in a plastic bag all wrapped up for you to wash, and then if you just send another spare set in and we'll put it straight into your child's drawstring bag, that'll be perfect. Also in this bag, because we play out, like I've already mentioned, in every kind of weather, we ask parents to provide their child with a set of waterproofs. Now, your child should be coming to school anyway with a waterproof coat on, but we ask you to provide some waterproof trousers. If it snows and nobody's expecting it, and it's just very impromptu snow day, we will take the children out onto the playground or onto the field, and we'll make snow angels in the snow. We'll lie down in the snow, we'll roll over in the snow, we'll make things in the snow. Miss Cooper and I will don our waterproofs and we'll go out with your children. But this year we did have a handful of children who couldn't do that snow play, and they were really upset because they didn't have waterproofs in school. So please, if you could provide a little set of waterproofs, a little set of waterproof trousers, they'll last all year for your child. We can send them home in the holidays if you want us to, so you can use them, but they go in the drawstring bag as well. And last but not least, a little set of wellies. For that very reason, we can go out in any weather whatsoever. If I want to do an impromptu walk one day and we want to go and see the cattle grazing in the field or go over and feed the horses or something like that, then they will need their wellies on. So their little wellies go in their drawstring bag as well. And then all of this hangs up on their coat peg. Okay, so that's their drawstring bag. All right. The other thing I really need to stress to you is labelling everything. I say it every single year. Please label everything within an inch of its life. Just get a permanent marker and label it, please. Or those ironing labels, stitching labels, whichever way you want to do it. I do say it over and over again, and year on year on year, I get parents coming to me going, they've lost the cardigan, they've lost the jumper. Has it got a name in? No. And then I find it really hard because I've got a set of jumpers all waiting in the classroom, all age 4 to 5 or 5 to 6, and we don't know whose is whose because they've not got labels in. Please, please, please put labels in your children's clothing. I would be very, very appreciative. PE kit. It is a compulsory PE kit your child has to have. A plain blue pale t-shirt, please, and maroon shorts and a pair of pumps. All the children now look so smart in their same PE kits when we're doing PE. We do PE twice a week. This week it's been on a Tuesday and a Friday, and the children very quickly learn to get themselves changed for PE. Again, because all the PE kits are exactly the same, please label them, because I won't be able to tell one plain blue t-shirt from another plain blue t-shirt if they don't have names in. Okay, so please label everything up. We do, whilst they're in school, every morning we stop and we have a social snack time, and this is where your children can have milk and fruit. Now the milk, you will have got the documentation in the pack. The milk is free for your child up until the day they turn 5. When they turn 5, then if you want your child to have milk, you've got to start paying for it. And I think it's 18 pence a day per carton your child gets. But all that information will be in the pack for you. Your child, if they're having milk, will be on the milk list, so they will get milk. And then we also have fruit delivered to school every day as well. Now it's usually 1 or 2 items, mixed items throughout the week. So one day it can be pears, another day it can be apples, another day it can be bananas. Sometimes we have the peas in the pea pods, other days we have strawberries. It all depends on what we get delivered. Some children this year have found they don't like a snack on a particular day. So they've chosen to bring a piece of fruit from home. That is perfectly fine. If you want to send a piece of fruit in with your child from home, just in case they don't like the school fruit snack, that is fine. But can we say, if you're sending them in with a snack, it needs to be 1 piece of fruit. If you want to chop it up, brilliant, no problem at all. Please put it in an airtight container, but again, with your child's name on. Okay, so it has to be 1 piece of fruit. I was having a couple of years ago a full picnic sent in by one child and a full fruit salad by another. So and then other children were starting to get a little bit jealous and they got all a little bit carried away with ourselves. So 1 piece of fruit, please, that would be perfect. During that time as well, your child might choose not to have milk. They want a drink of water instead. The water fountains in school are available to the children all day long. And if your child brings a water bottle from home, with a name label on it, they can go and fill up their water bottle whenever they need to throughout the day. We have some children who like to drink constantly throughout the day, and then we've got other children we have to encourage to drink. So please send in a named water bottle with your child as well, please. I don't think I really need to talk through anything else with you. Everything else is quite straightforward if you read the information yourself. The main one I need to bring to your attention at the bottom is medicines, inhalers and any allergies. You will have the medical forms in your pack to fill in for the ladies in the office. Can we ask these? I know some have already started to be returned, which is fantastic. Thank you so much for being so organised and so prompt. Can we ask you to really bring to our attention any kind of allergies at all? In reception, we do like to do things like fruit testing. We like to try different flavours of crisps. We like to do lots and lots of different experimental things with food. And we've had a child who's allergic to kiwi in the past, but parents didn't let us know. We had a couple of years ago a child who was allergic to nuts and never let us know. Now, we are a nut-free school anyway, so that didn't turn out to be an issue. And it only came up in conversation with the parent that this child had a nut allergy. Those kind of pieces of information are vital for us, please. So however small your child's allergy or illness may be, please put it on the medical form so that we are aware of it. Okie dokie. And that is the end of our new starters video. It's been lovely doing this video for you. It's been very, very different and a little bit awkward at times because usually I'm quite used to having feedback off an audience. I'm so looking forward to meeting you all in September, and I know Natalie is as well. In September, it will be very unusual times because there'll be a lot of you I don't recognise straight away. I am going to start making the phone calls through to nurseries now, as from next week, and getting to find out some information about your children. And then I will be contacting each of you in turn, because what I'm thinking is, because you haven't been able to come to us and see the setting, I'd quite like to be able to come and visit you and do some home visits. I used to do this when I taught my nursery set of children, so I'm quite used to doing home visits, and if it has to be a social distance home visit, say sat in your garden, then that is fine. But it's just an opportunity to meet you, get to put a name to a face, you to get to meet me and Miss Cooper, and also to see your child, so they become a little bit familiar with us before they actually start the school environment. I'll be sending the arrangements for September out very, very shortly. I've just got to have them all okayed by Mrs Ainscough. I've got to run them all by Mrs Ainscough. I've had to do a plan A and a plan B. My plan A is the plan for if we haven't got social distancing and all the children can start as normal in September. It will just take a little bit longer than normal. The plan B is if we do have to have social distancing in September and bring the children in groups, in bubbles. So I have got two different plans. I think the one I'll be sending home to you is plan A, keeping our fingers crossed that we won't have to worry about the social distancing come September. But who knows? Let's watch this space. It's been lovely talking to you. I hope you all have a really, really lovely summer, and I look forward to meeting you all in September. Take care. Bye.